morning. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in North America, and hello to anyone watching on replay. My name is Nancy Hetker, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, Australia. And I wanted to start by reminding everybody that we are now halfway through Celebration, which is a great time of the year, January, February. For every $90 you spend, you can get one of the free items in this brochure. There are a couple of items that take a minimum $180 spend. For instance, these dies that coordinate with this stamp set. But for the most part, a couple things on this page, but for the most part, they are $90 spend, which means basically you buy a bundle out of either the current mini catalog, January to April, or the annual catalog, or anything that's available online exclusive only, and you will be able to choose something. So that's Celebration. Oh, and during Celebration, if you join my team, join Stampin' Up!, which is a great way to get all of the things that you want at a 20% discount. You can choose between two different bonus options. One is to get even more free stuff in your starter kit, or this fabulous glass mat, which I will show you why it is so fabulous as we make our project today. But I do apologize because it is glass. It does reflect my my ring lights there. I'm working on coming up with a solution for that, although I don't quite know what that would be, except to keep you guys in the dark. Putting my grid paper on there would work, but I want the glass today, so you'll have to live with that. If you join me, please do say hello in the comments so I know who's here. Hello, Paula and Gladys. Thank you for joining me today. So the project I'm going to do today is going to use this Enduring Beauty bundle, which I believe is the first time we have a stamp set, coordinating dies that go with it. That big one cuts out that whole floral cluster, and decorative masks that work with it. You may remember a few months ago I showed you a sunflower mask set that builds up, but this one's got all three components, and this is what I am building my stamp camp in February around. You still have another day or so to sign up if you're in Australia and you want to come to my stamp camp the 24th, 25th of February. Let me know right away, because the deadline is February 1. If you're within a day or so of that and you really want to come, let me know and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, so let me show you just a couple of things really quickly here about this. They've got all kinds of neat samples of ways that you can use, or examples of ways that you can use this. I've got something in mind for today, but I'm going to show you a couple things first. I played with the masks last night for the first time. So let me show you this card. And I did everything. I did all 5 layers of the mask, and then I stamped over it with the outline stamp and with Versamark, and then heat emboss that in gold, and then cut it out with the die that goes around. And I think that's really pretty. I'm trying to get the light on it right. Sorry, the ambient light in my room keeps changing. We have one of these days with lots, it must be big puffy clouds going very quickly because the sun is blinding coming in, and then it goes totally gray. So yeah, there we go. I really like this, and I thought it would be great as like a wedding card. So I put best wishes on there and some of these gold pearls to go with it. So I'm very, very happy with how that one turned out. And then the other thing, here's a sneak peek from my stamp camp. At the On Stage at Home online program in November, a French demonstrator showed us this mini album project that she had done with the, what is it? The balloon, the hot air balloon bundle that's in the mini catalog that I don't have. But I thought, ooh, that would be fun to do at a stamp camp. So I have adapted it to do with the items that we're doing in our stamp camp. And this is the prototype that I made up. People are going to have a lot of freedom to decorate this, use whatever papers they want. But this is that same stamp. And this one, I stamped it in Memento, used my blends to color it in, cut it out with the die, and slapped it on the front of this. But this, I think, is very fun, and it stands up, and it just takes a little bit of careful measuring and cutting on your paper trimmer, and then lots of decorating. And this one I'm going to the States later this year, and I'm going to go visit Andrew and Emma in Denver area, and I think I'm going to give this to Emma's parents as a little something. So these are pictures I took of them when they visited us last February and March. So anyhow, that's very fun. But so everyone is going to send me pictures. Who's coming to stamp camp, they're sending me pictures. I'm making them black and white in the right size to go in here, and they'll be able to make their album the way they want it. But let's get to doing today's project. So I am going to bring in, this is a piece of boho blue, and here's one reason I'm doing this on my glass mat, because it's really easy to tape it down and leave it in place. And I'm going to tape it, I'm going to do it here. And there. This tape, this is Scotch tape, but it's the one with the blue core, which means it's removable, much like Post-it notes are, which means I can pull it off of paper without it tearing at all. And I find it works really well for projects like this. Now, this is a series of 5 masks, and you just work your way through them. They are numbered up in this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a notch that will help with alignment. And this is how I found on my glass mat. It works really well. I don't need a huge piece exactly the same size as this, because this is about as big as it gets. So I'm going to find a good place to put it on my paper. And I'm going to bring in some more of that removable tape, put it on the 2 corners. And now I am going to mark where that notch is. And I am going to do that. What am I going to do that with? I'm going to try it with this dry erase marker. This is just a cheap old dry erase marker. I did it before with a Stampin' Blend, which you can do. If you do it with a Stampin' Blend, it won't wipe off with water. What I do, I thought I pulled one out to show you. Oh, here it is. I have a bunch of these alcohol swabs. These are pretty cheap. You can get them any pharmacy, probably some, yeah, any pharmacy. And one goes a pretty long way. That'll take any permanent marker off the glass, off the stencil itself. and I also use it to like clean my clear blocks after a class when lots of people have been touching them and there's like glue residue and whatever on them. It just cleans them right up and it's great. Okay, so there is my first layer stencil, and I'm going to bring in some Balmy Blue. And I am building up my collection of blending brushes and starting to label them for individual colors because I get crazy like that. And well, because I'm using them for classes and we're using them all the time for, if I were just crafting for me and I was starting with the lightest and going to the darkest color and then could clean out my brushes, that I could just do one for like all of these colors because they're all in the same tones. But because I'm doing them in classes and people are having to use them all in a row, I can't really have wet brushes. So that's one reason I'm going to that length. Get those out of the way. You won't see a lot of change with this. It's a light color. It's actually a little bit lighter color than the paper itself in many ways. But when I take off the mask, you'll be able to see where I was. And I am trying to start on the plastic and swipe into there so I don't get a blotch from the brush itself. And then I do go back and kind of sweep remaining ink into there. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Hi, Christine. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so now I'm finished with mask number 1. So I am, at least I believe I am. I'm going to pick it up there. You can see it there. Didn't look like I had done anything, but you can definitely see that. So I will set aside mask number 1. And I will bring in number 2. And you see I've got that corner mark there with that notch. So it should be pretty easy to get that aligned. And I can double check. I can see where, I don't mind if it overlaps a little bit. Oh, and I can see with this one, I've got a little bit of tape showing there. So we will move that tape. I think we'll move it. Yeah. Okay. There and there. And now I'm going to come in with trying to decide. I'm going to come in with Boho Blue, which is the same color as that cardstock. And I went a little dark on these. I may try to keep it a bit lighter on the others. Let me peek at that and see what I think. Yeah, I'm going to be happy with that. So that's number 2. This is actually really pretty quick to build up the color. Okay, so here's number 3. And again, those numbers are right here under the notch. And I can see, like right there is the edge of a leaf. And so I can see that I've got it right. And there's leaf there. So I'm just going to get it. So they're both covered. And And now, what am I going to bring in? Misty Moonlight. This is darkest so far. A lot of times it just doesn't take a lot sometimes. You can go for different looks. And I want this to be darker than that boho blue, but I don't want it to be as dark as like Night of Navy. So let's check and see how we're doing there. Yeah. I like the contrast between those. Okay, so here we go. Here's number 4. And this is putting layers on the leaves. And again, you're going to see, because it's doing some stems that we haven't colored before, you're going to see some of that base color coming through, but that's okay. There we go. And now we're going to come in with some Night of Navy. Again, I'm going to start light-ish, because you can always bring in some more, but you can't take away. Okay, let's see how we're doing there. Yep. I'm liking it. And here's the final. This does flower centers. And again, I'm going to bring in this Night of Navy. And because it's going over 2 different layers of color, I am going to do that pretty dark, I think. I don't know if you can see here, I can still see the difference between the 2 colors. And now I can't. There we go. Okay, I think that should be finished with the stenciling. What do you think? I think that's pretty cool. Close that up, put my brushes aside since I am finished with that. Let me do a couple things here. I'm going to clean that off. I don't want that rubbing off onto anything. This is just water on a sorry, on a chamois. Lost the word there for a moment. Make sure that's dry. Let me bring in, I'm planning to mount that on here. And that's one reason I did it on the boho blue. I didn't want to do it on white and have it really stand out. Now, my question is, I'm going to leave it like that. I was thinking about overstamping and then heat embossing with silver, but I think for this one, I want to leave it like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go off camera for just a second and cut it out with the die, which will be like so, and I will be right back. Taking a minute here to line it up. It wants to move around a bit. Okay, so there we go. This is how I hold it in place. This is Post-it note tape. I'm telling you, stock in 3M. And then that comes out. What do you think? I think that's pretty stunning on there. I'm liking that. Shall we do a sentiment before we get everything into place? So, Enduring Beauty has a number of sentiments. I'll be honest, they are not my favorites, but I think I'm going to do Holding You Close in My Heart. I'll go ahead and do it in Night of Navy on this boho blue. And the dies have, this is pretty, it's got pierced edge, but I think it's a little bit long. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a little trick here. I'm going to hold that in place with my Post-it note tape, run it through the cut emboss. There it is. And I'm going to bring this back in and put it where I want it. And you can kind of feel it go into place. And I'm going to run it through just to there. Let me see if I can bring this in and have you see it. See, I don't even have the plate going over all of it. I'm just gonna go right there. And that cuts off, and there we go. I like that much better than this longer one. And there's the piece that I cut off. How's that? That's a pretty cool little trick, I think. So let's bring this back in. And see how we're gonna line that up. What do you think? I'm liking that. Okay, let's get some adhering happening. Oh, I meant to bring in a new glue because I think this is pretty empty, but let's see how we go. Oh yeah. I think that needs to go on dimensionals. Do a mini on that little flower bud. What paper am I using? This one, this designer series paper is from Countryside Inn. On boho blue cardstock. The base and the stenciling and the sentiment are all on boho blue. And I'm going to do that one flat. I usually pop them up, but somehow I like that flat there. And it needs some sparkle. Something to brighten it up a little bit. So I pulled out a few possibilities before we started. I think the rustic metallic dots are nice, but not sparkly enough. So definitely weigh in your preferences. These are Misty Moonlight Tinsel Gems. They're okay. Ooh, the boho blue adhesive back solid gems. Those might be the winners. So in my stamp camp, everyone's getting a pack of these. These are the 2023-2025 in color dots, and they include boho blue, and then I think that I know which ones I think I want to use. What do you think? What are you thinking? Misty Moonlight, Boho Blue, Solid Gems, or Boho Blue in color dots? Bottom right. These, Paula? Either the Boho Blue. I'm leaning towards these. I know they look kind of matchy-matchy, but yeah, so now the question just is how to use them. So you notice I'm going to lay some on here without actually pressing them down, just to get a sense of whether I like them or not. And I gotta say, I do really like that. And that may be enough. Now I've pressed them down. Yep, I'm gonna call that good. And I'm gonna do one more thing here to grab some more cardstock. Whoops, sorry about that. Just want to dress up the inside just a tiny bit. So I'm going to add a couple layers inside. And again, I don't really want that bright splash of white. So, here we go. This will be light enough to write on, but just right there with the whole color scheme. There we go. If you wanted to, you could stamp a couple of those little flowers. If I had thought about it before I glued it in, I could have stamped like a corner of that down in here, but I'm good just like that even. It just sort of finishes it off. Yep, I'm liking that. So this one is all of the layers of the stencils. This one is all of the layers of the stencils plus overstamped and then heat embossed in gold. They're on their slightly different angles, but basically the same card. You know, slight differences besides just colors. But I think there's lots of great looks that you can do with this. I hope you like that. And yep, This will be on my blog in my next blog post, so take a look for that at nancysniftynotes.com. It'll have all of the supplies that I used today listed there. And yeah, I hope you like that. I'll be back same time, same place next week. And I hope you will join me. See you then. Bye-bye.